Hi, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Joseph Schooland. I'm an account manager here with Populi, and am going to do your training today. You might already know me. I don't know. Maybe we've met. If not, you probably know Nick Holloway. He's the other account manager here, so you probably have one of us helping you. Or you probably know people on the support team if you don't know us. And if you don't, you should reach out to our support team whenever you need help. And I'll show you how to find all kinds of ways to get help in just a sec. One quick thing I wanted to note before we begin, and that is that if you have a question along the way, please put it in the Q&A box. I have another screen right over here that I can look at, and I can see those questions pop up. I'll probably wait until the end to answer them, but you can put them in whenever you want, just so you don't forget them. I know how that works, and that makes total sense to me. It's much easier for me to see and process the questions in the Q&A than it is if they go into the chat. So don't put them in the chat or else they might get lost. And I'd really like to see your question and answer it. So put those over into the Q&A. All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So let's see. Here we go. Good. All right, so you should see my screen. It's got a logo on it, says your college could be here. So it's a login page. If you don't see that, please throw something in the chat or in the Q&A so that I can see it. Probably Q&A would be best. And let's begin. First off, if you've been a part of any of these before, and we kind of didn't do many over the summer, I want to let you know how to get help. And this is how you get help. And then we'll go into today's specific topic, which is on account administrators. But if you need help, there's a little help button right up here. And there's actually 4 different ways you can get help, and I'm going to run through them all. One is to search the knowledge base. If you're the type of person who likes to look up articles and read on your own and do research on your own, we invite you to do that. Each one of these areas is split out. So we've got introduction, academic, staff and admin, admissions, financial. There's even some articles here for students. All of these are public, so you could take one of those articles and copy and paste it and send it to a student. They don't have to have a login to be able to see it. They'll just be able to open it up and take a look. So you can dig around and look in there or use our little search bar right up here. The second way to get help is to reach out to our support team. You can either open a support request, which is kind of like an email, or you can give us a call. Our phone number is 877, the number 4, and the word Populi, 877-4-POPULI. It's on our public website. It's in the knowledge base. I'll show you where to find it in case you forget it. But hopefully you got that burned in your brain, 877, the number 4, and the word Populi. We'd love to hear from you. Our support team is Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. We do phone and email support for all your faculty and staff. So it's not just the super users who are allowed to reach out to support. It's everybody at your school. All faculty and staff can do that phone and email support. And then students can do email support. If you do open a support request, you can view those here. If you have an idea for us, you can make a feature request. You can also go to the feature request forum and see other ideas people have and vote on them and make your own comments. And if you want to interact with other Populi clients, you can do that here using the user form. One other place that is really handy and is actually where this is going to go when it's all done and we're ready to post it, is on our YouTube channel. So you can go to YouTube, search for Populi, find us here, all kinds of videos here, some interviews with clients, some hour-long trainings, some just real short little new feature clips. So you can dig into there, and these are all public too, so you can forward those on to your other staff. And then the final thing you can do if you want is you can reach out to your account manager and schedule a training webinar. This is where we have the webinar software, kind of like we're doing now, except you can talk and you're not just doing text questions, but you can actually ask and interact, and it will just be us and you, and we can dig a little deeper into what you need. All right, I'm going to show you some articles in our Search the Knowledge base that are really handy. One is getting started with your school's new Populi site. Even if you've already gotten started with Populi a long time ago, this has a bunch of different tutorials for each one of the sections of Populi, and it's really handy to pass around to your staff. How to contact us is another great one. I told you I would show you where that phone number is, and it is in this article, how to contact us. Those are with the actual numbers, not just the short, easy way of 877, the number 4, and the word Populi. Our hours are posted there too. So we'd love to hear from you. Our support team loves to talk to folks, and they're just great. And so hope you get to know them. Before we dig in, I want to first define what is a Populi Account Administrator. A Populi Account Administrator is somebody who has access to your account settings. So a Populi Account Administrator is not a super user. They're not someone who has access to every detail in your Populi. Maybe they don't even have access to the financial section, or they don't have access to the academic section, or the bookstore, the library, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just they have access to a special account section, and that is this section right here. And they can make certain calls that the rest of the school can't make. So if a school is going to go out of business or something like that, if we get an email saying we're going out of business, please cancel our Populi, we actually will politely and respectfully decline that request if it's not from a Populi Account Administrator, because we don't want just anybody who we don't know, some student at your school or some faculty at your school, to cancel your account. Your Populi Account Administrators are the ones who do that. You always have at least one, and it's best to have at least two. Your normal settings, so if I'm not a Populi Account Administrator and I click on my image up here, or maybe my initials if I don't have an image up there, and I go to settings, then I'll just see my settings, and there's some things I can do here. My own security features, like change my password, and my own notification signups, what I want to be notified for and what I don't. I can also see all the emails I've sent from Populi and all the text messages I sent from Populi, and that's it. If I'm a Populi Account Administrator, then I will also see this section down here, and that's what we're going to zoom in on today. Before we zoom in on that, I want to give a little bit of background, and we're back to this article, Getting Started with Your School's New Populi Site. If you are new to Populi, or maybe Populi's, you've had it for 10 years, but you're now a new account administrator because the old one left, it's a great article to read so that you have a good understanding of how things were set up back in the day when they were set up. And I'll skip over some of this text, but down here we list all the different tutorials. Populi admins, that's us, that's who we're talking about right now. Once they get their stuff set up, then the academic people can jump in and set their stuff up. Once they've done that, then your billing and accounting people can set their stuff up. And then after that, people can set things up in whatever order. But there's some key things that need to be set up first. If you're skipping billing and accounting, that's fine. You can skip it. But these other ones are kind of the heart of Populi. So let's take a look at that. The admins. You should read through each one of these articles here, and probably the two most important ones I want to cover today, to get you ready to set up, are these two: setting up your school's new Populi account and overview of data migration process. The rest of these are really good. How do I pay Populi and manage my payment settings? How do I set up my SPF record, manage my settings there, security settings and localizations? We'll go through some of that stuff. But I'm not going to dig into the article themselves because we'll be able to look at that visually in my fake school over here. All right, setting up your new Populi account. If you're here, you've probably already set it up. You're probably all good to go. Maybe you've used Populi for 10 years. If not, this is what happens. I or Nick will send you what's called a data migration survey. You'll fill that out. It's essentially asking what data, if any, that you want to import. It really helps us understand, make sure that you know what can be imported and not be imported, and it helps us anticipate what your implementation is going to look like. Once we've done that, and maybe we've caught something, maybe you thought we were going to import something we don't, or you didn't think we were going to import something that we can, whatever. Once we've caught all that, it's great to figure that out before we start the implementation process, and we haven't all done a bunch of work before we've got to, say, oh, this is not going to work. So once we fill that out and you're like, yep, good to go, and we say, yep, good to go, then we'll send you a setup form, and it's just, you'll get it in your email. And it's just a form with some basic information. What's your school name? What's your name? What's your email address? What URL were you thinking for your school? Stuff like that. Once you fill that out and hit submit, then you are a Populi client. You have signed up. And not only have you signed up, but you have access to your Populi. It's going to be empty. There's nothing in it, but that's going to be what we're going to put all the data in and spell things out for you. And that's kind of the shell where everything else will get set up. But you're now a Populi client. Now you are the only user for your Populi school at this moment. And so we'll talk about how you can add other people. But the first thing you want to do, and notice how it says very important, is add the Populi SPF record to your domain. If you have no idea what that means, that's totally okay. You might want to send it to your webmaster or your IT people, whoever manages your domain, your .edu or your .com, and they'll be able to put this in. We have an article right here that has all the details. Essentially, in Populi, the reason people love Populi and buy Populi, one of the reasons is because they can send email from Populi. And it's not just some generic email, but it actually looks like it comes from them. And if the student replies back, then it will go back into their own, to that faculty or staff's inbox. But for us to be able to do that in Populi, because we're not your email client, we have to pretend we're you. So we have to send the email on your behalf. And for that to work so that it doesn't end up in the student spam folder, you have to give your domain, say that Populi has permission to send email on our behalf. And you're doing that by putting the SPF record in there. So that's essentially what it is in general. Once you have it in and all set up, you can go here under your account in communications, and it will say outbound email authorization. This is a demo school, so I don't have any actual data there. Let's look at this one real quick. It'll look something like this: DNS record verified, SPF record verified, stuff like that. And so then you'll know that it is working right. So rather than bothering your IT person now because you don't know if this is set up, you can just go right there, make sure it's working. If it's not, then reach out to somebody, give them this article so that they can dig a little deeper. Next up, since you're the only user in your system, you want to start adding some new people. Now, if you're importing your data, all those people are going to come over. So you're not really adding them because you need them to be in the system eventually. You're just adding some of the key people who are going to help you during the data implementation process. Or if you've had Populi for a long time, you're adding the new faculty who are coming in, or the new staff who are coming in, or anyone who you want to track, maybe a student's parent or some employer who you work with. That looks like this. Let's go to home and contacts. This is how you'd add a new person. And then you click add new person. Populi's smart enough so that you can just type in information about this person, and it will figure out what the first name is, what the middle name is, what the last name is, and so on. So we've got all right, here we go. Doesn't like commas, so make a note of that. Prefix doctor, first name John, and I put in with quotes here, Johnny. Charles is middle name, last name is Smith, and then suffix is junior. If Populi can't figure it out, then click show more inputs and you can put it in yourself. You can also put in a former name here in case they had a previous name before and they've changed their name. You can also just do a few basic things. We're trying not to get bogged down in the details when you add a person. So we're just giving you a couple of things, phone, email, street, but later they might have a faculty record, might have an admissions record or a student record. Probably most of your students you're not going to add by hand by this ever because they're going to go through your admissions process and that will automatically bring them in. But let's say that I want this person to be an academic admin. They're going to help me look over all the academic stuff. And so that's the highest level access people have to academics. And let's go ahead and add that person. It looks like I like adding this person. So we'll go ahead and bring this person in. And let's do this real quick. All right. So let's say we have someone in here that we want to add, and maybe they've got a certain role, academic admin, and I want to make this person a user. So there's a difference. Just because you added someone doesn't mean they have access to Populi. In fact, you might not want them to have access to Populi. If they're a student's parent, maybe you don't want them to have access. You're just kind of keeping track of them so you can send email to them every once in a while. Maybe they're a student's younger sibling and you want to keep track of them for admissions reasons, but they're not ready for you to reach out for them. Or it's an employer, or it's a pastor, or it's whatever it might be. You're just tracking them and you don't want them to have access to Populi. But if you want to give them access, there's a second part, and that is on this little settings button here. Make this person a user. And we'll switch to is a user. Populi has an auto username generator. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I can change this a little bit if I want. Eric, and then hit save, and then Eric is a user, and he'll get an email inviting him to log in, just like you did when you first started your Populi. So that's adding people. The final important step is to add another account administrator, Populi Account Administrator, PAA, and billing contact. So when you set up your Populi, you are the only Populi Account Administrator, and you are also your school's billing contact. It's a good idea to have a second Populi Account Administrator at least, and maybe even more, although you don't want too many because you don't want too many people to have access to your account level stuff. But the reason you want at least two is because if something happens to you, you don't want your school to kind of just be stuck in the lurch. And believe it or not, we've seen that happen where just unexpected things happen in life. It might be a medical emergency, might be moving on to a different school or whatever. But if something happens to you, you want someone else to be able to back you up and not require you to come in here and fix things for them. If I want to add a new Populi Account Administrator, I'll click on my name, account and settings, and then this button, account settings here, and then go into security. And down here under Populi Account Administrators, I can add a new name. I can delete people out here too, or I can add them in Andy Admissions. And then I'll go up and hit Save Settings. And now I've got that second Populi Account Administrator. I can only add staff members who already have user access. So I need to add a person first. They need to at least have staff level access to Populi. They need to be a user, and then I can put them in here. I can also add a billing contact. That would be down here in invoices and payments, payment settings. And right here, you can only have one billing contact. I'll change this to Felix Faculty. And this person gets all the notifications that are billing related. Anytime a new bill is due and all that kind of stuff. They also have access to be able to put in a bank account information, sign up for a payment plan, or a payment type, like a auto ACH or auto whatever. They can hit save settings here and save all that. And by default, it's just the billing contact who gets the billing notifications. If your bill goes overdue, then the rest of the account administrators are going to start getting notifications too. We just do that just in case maybe something happened to the billing contact and didn't get switched, and we want to make sure that your account doesn't get late fees or get shut off. So we'll start notifying the account administrators also. So those are the couple things you want to make sure you do. Make sure the right person's in there for a billing contact because it might not be you, and make sure you've got someone to back you up for the account administrator. All right, last part, I want to do just a quick overview of the data migration process in case you're in that, or even if you're not, it's good for you to know what happened before you came to get your data into Populi. There's some things that Populi can and cannot import. We import all your historic academic data, including transcripts. In fact, we want to make sure those transcripts are working well. We do not import financial data. Well, we do, but we only import the balances, whether it's a positive or negative balance for students. We're only going to import those. We don't like to have historic financial data in Populi that Populi didn't generate. We can import your library data as long as it's all in MARC formats. We can, of course, all person data, donations and donor data, and admissions data. There's some things we don't import because they're feature related. So for example, you might have a feature in your system that displays a degree audit, or a feature that does the application process, or a feature that calculates how much tuition or fees you charge. Those features don't come over, just the data behind them. And so you'll have to reset up the features for your degree audit in Populi, and you have to reset up your application and admissions in Populi, and reset up your tuition fee calculations and all that in Populi. That'll be part of your setup process. And you can start doing that day one. As soon as you get your version of Populi open, even if there's no data in there, you can start plugging in those settings and making sure they work. For LMS data, we don't import any of that, but you can import common cartridges to individual courses in Populi to get that content from your old LMS into Populi. Common cartridge is supposed to be a universal format to kind of move data back and forth from one LMS to another. And I say it's supposed to be because it's not always as universal as you'd like. There's different versions of common cartridge, and different LMSs have their own kind of different versions. So if it doesn't work, reach out to our support team. We'll try and get some tech folks on it to make sure it's going right. Okay, this is probably, I mean, I've told you, get your SPF record, get some people in there to help you out, add another Populi Account Administrator. This is what kicks off the data migration process, is to get your data to us. You're going to do that by going same place, click here, account settings, and you're going to land here, and you're going to go to files. This is a demo college, so I don't actually have what we need under here, but you can see it here, legacy data import files. So you'll have something titled there, and you can click this to upload those files. So you just want to give us an upload, a snapshot of all your data, and you're going to start this out. This whole process to import data takes about 2 to 4 months. And this is what starts it off. Once we get that, then we'll be able to look through it and build a script that will import your data into your Populi. Within about a month or two, we'll be able to get back to you and import that data, not into your live site where you're doing your settings, but actually we're gonna, for this first time, do a separate site called a test site. And we'll import it all into your test site. And then you'll be able to use that for quality assurance. So all those people you kind of recruited to help you with this, they can go into that test site and take a look and see what looks good and what doesn't. Are all the transcripts correct? Are all the custom fields that you like over there? Are different tags over there? Is, you know, look around and make sure the data came over. This is really just a time to let us help you clean your data up or scrub your data. And maybe the first time it'll be totally great, no worries. And you'll just say, hey, this is awesome. All went through in the first try. But it might be that there's some deleted people that you thought were deleted, but the database wasn't very clear on that, so they're showing up again. Or there's some duplicates that need to be dealt with. Whatever, use this to push back and say, hey, can you take care of these duplicates, or can you take care of this or that? And we'll do that conversation with you, clean some things up for you, let you see it again, and you can say yes or find a new thing. And then finally, when you say yes, it all looks so good, we are ready to move forward. This might be at, you know, month 2, 3, or 4. You're ready to go, then you're going to upload one more final snapshot of your data, and that will capture all the changes that you've done in your old system during this time, because you're still using your old system while we're working on this. And we'll import that through this nicely new polished script that you help us build through your feedback. And on that day, you'll quit using your old system and start using Populi, because your live system will now have all the data you need to run your Populi, all the stuff that was in the old one. So that is our process. Now, let's dig in, and those are some things that particularly the account administrators need to know about. Now, let's dig into the settings here. So I've been telling you that the definition of an account administrator is that you have this account section. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's look through some of these. I'm not going to go through every single one. There's actually quite a few. So if I skip over, I'll hit the ones I think are most important. If I skip over a couple and you need to reach out to us, just go in, click on one, even highlight it or take a picture of it or type it out and say to our support team, hey, what does this one do? You know, should I fill that out or not? And we'll be able to give you some feedback. All right, so first off, in account settings, we got a number of tabs across the top. First one's general, and we've got address, fax, phone, website. These are things that might show up on like transcripts or other things that you generate. And so it's good to have them filled out here. They might already be here because we asked you these questions during the setup process. Also, you can put in your iPad's unit ID number if you want, and your institution type. This will help when we're generating some of your iPad's reporting. Customizations. This lets you turn certain things on or off. So right now, I've got bookstore and library showing. If you don't want those to show, they're probably turned off by default. But if you don't want them to show because you don't want students to get confused and click on them, then you can turn those off. You can also disable financial if you're not going to use that quite yet. And there's a couple other things you can turn on or off here. Security. Do you want users to be able to upload their own ID photos? We have some schools that do this and some schools that don't. The schools that do this, you might end up getting students with a picture of a kitten or a piano as their ID photo. And some schools just think that's really cool. It's part of their culture. Other schools, they want faculty to be able to get to know the student by their face. And so they don't allow students to upload their own photos, and they have maybe an orientation process where they take everybody's pictures and put them up in kind of the same way. But this is what lets you decide what you're going to do at your school and turn them on or off. In Populi, there's a directory built into Populi for students, for the benefit of the students and the faculty and the staff. And so they can look other people up and so on. Students, however, also can determine which pieces of their contact information are in the directory or not. It's all having to do with the FERPA stuff, right? So they could say, well, they can see this one email address, but not my phone number, not my home address, none of that. Now, by default, Populi will have it so all contact information is going to be in the directory by default. If you want to switch it, unless they mark certain things private. If you want to switch it so all contact information is not in the directory, it's all private by default, and then unless they make certain things public, then you can switch this the other way. Social Security numbers, that's a big one, of course. Who can see and edit them? Is it your academic admin, or maybe it's just your financial people, or maybe it's everybody? Different schools will do this different ways. We already looked at the Populi Account Administrator. Here's another interesting one. I told you we'd look at this later. This is the username template. By default, Populi is going to pull the first name initial, the last name, and the last 2 digits of the year. So mine would be JSchoolin20. But I can put in different things by pulling up this article and looking at different codes I can put in. So, for example, I could do first name, last name, first initial, preferred name, year, month, day, random number. So I could do random 5 to do 5 random numbers. I could do year and then put in a couple digits with a colon and a number afterwards so that I get 4 digits instead of only 2. So different ways I can do that. And as I put those things in fact, we'll just copy this one real quick. So if I decide to do that, then this is my preview. It's just 5 random numbers. Probably wouldn't do something like that, but you could. And here it's got a little more of a logic behind it. Final one down here that I want to show you is login approvals. Login approvals are what control who at your school has to use 2-factor authentication to be able to log in. If you don't know what that is, it's most of the time when you log into places, it only requires one piece of information, and that is your password. You put in your username, your password, you're good to go. 2-factor authentication requires a second piece to be able to log in. Usually it's texting a code to your phone and then you have to type in that code. I don't have all the settings here because it's not, because we're in the demo school. But essentially what this does is you can role by role decide who is allowed to use login approvals if they want. So you could make it just so they're allowed to if they want, and they choose whether or not they want to opt in. Or you can even go one step further and say some people are not just allowed to, but they're required to. Maybe you want to do that for your academic admin. You want to require them to do that two-factor authentication, both their password and that code with their text message. You want to require that because, I mean, if someone hacked their account, they're the academic admin, they've got access to all academic stuff. Or maybe you want to require it for your financial admin or whatever. So you can decide how secure you want to make that. Let's bump over here to appearance. If you want to change your display name, you can do that here. If you change your school's name and so it's not showing up, and we would prefer that you let us know so that we can change it on our end, kind of behind the scenes, so we have that updated. But if it's more like you're just not doing such and such college, but you're trying to kind of put a twist on it, you're saying my such and such college or something, then you can put that display name in here. But if you're actually changing your name, just let us know so we can change our records. Do you want to hide header text? This is header text, and that's where your name shows up. You can hide that if you want, because we have some schools who just make their logo really big and their name is a part of their logo. So it's real clear there. So you can hide that if you want to have the logo kind of take over. Background text, text color, and then down here you can upload your own logos to make those display in Populi in different places. And you can do this all on your own. If you can't figure it out or need a little bit of help, reach out to us, our support team, and we've got some folks who could definitely help you on that. Integrations, you can set those up here. SSO, there's some stuff here. Let's jump over here to localization. This is more techie stuff, and you can dig into that if you want. But in localizations, this allows you to have Populi look different for different students, essentially be in a different language for certain students. So you can give students the Portuguese localization, and when they log in, they'll see everything in Portuguese. We have seven base languages: English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, Portuguese, and Korean. If you want to add any other language yourself, you can do that if you want. And then you will just translate it yourself. So for example, here's Albanian based on Populi's built-in English, and there's pages and pages of this, so it'll take you a little bit of time, but you can go through and you can translate each one of these and build your own localization. Hopefully though, you only need one of these base ones. And if you need something beyond one of those base ones, reach out to our support team. We might be able to get another one in there, but we need to know someone who's going to use it. So just let us know. Backups. Populi backs up your data daily, weekly, monthly. So we take that really seriously. We store all the backups of all of our clients in a separate place from where they're running Populi. So if that server got blown up or something, unlikely, of course, but that server got blown up or something horrible happened, we'd still be able to get your data from another place. And so we already do that. That's part of the service. However, if you want to pull down your own backup for whatever reason, peace of mind, or you need to leave and you don't want to use Populi anymore, we understand. We don't want to hold your data hostage. You can take your data and go. All you have to do is click request a backup, and you may request up to one backup every 24 hours. I don't think we have any of our 500 and some clients. I don't think any of them are doing one backup a day, but you can if you want. And the only reason we don't do it more frequently than that is so that our background job manager doesn't take over trying to process school backups. We want to make sure we're not bogging things down. But you can do that, and this will be in a CSV file. Files, I already kind of clicked on this to show you where you could upload your legacy data. Remember, that feature is not shown in my demo college. It would be right up here. But what this does do is it shows you how much file storage you're using up. With Populi, you get 2,000 gigabytes. This is wrong. This demo college only says 200. You actually get 2,000 gigabytes, which is 2 terabytes of file upload storage for free with your Populi. If you go over that, it's just 10 cents a gigabyte, 10 cents per gigabyte per month after that. Now, out of our 520 clients, I don't think we have anybody who has gone over. Maybe we have, but it's not very common. So that's a lot of space, 2,000. And some are doing all the online stuff with the videos, images, and all that kind of stuff. But this is essentially just showing you how much video you have, images you have, how much of the overall space you have, so you can make some adjustments if you need to. We also have personal file storage limits. So each role, you can limit how much space, how much files are allowed to upload to their own personal file storage area. Right now, I'm not sure what the default is, but I've got all mine set to be 2 gigabytes for each one. Reporting. If you want to look and see any changes that have been made in the last certain time frame, you choose a time frame, and you can even filter down types of changes and so on. This is just a change log that crosses the whole system. So if something looks wonky, you can go in here and you can see who is changing stuff, and maybe you need to change it back. If something looks wrong, then you'll be able to see which staff made that mistake and needs to be corrected. So it just makes a record in case something goes wrong. We also have logins. Anytime someone logs in, we're going to record who logged in and if they logged in successfully. And so you can look at that here. Our support team can see this too. So if someone's having trouble logging in, we can see what's going on. Like maybe they just had bad credentials. They kept on putting in the wrong password. So they need their password reset, and you guys can reset that for them. Also shows from what IP address they logged in at. Communications, this is testing the outbound email authorization. And then finally, invoices and payments. Here's an invoice right here. You can click on the number to see it when we've got your base rate and your student rate. And there's actually 2 more things that will be added. This is an old invoice, but 2 more things that will be added. One is your extra storage space if you went over, and the other is extra text messages if you went over on those. You get 5,000 free text messages each month per recipient. So that means if you sent out 200, if you sent one text to 200 people, well, that took up 200 of your 5,000. We might have a couple people, I think it's 2 cents per text message on those. But anyways, that will show on your invoice here. We also list all the students. So I've got 40 students on my student rate, and it will list all 40 here and the classes they were enrolled in the last month. Because remember, we only charge you, you can look on our pricing page on our website, we only charge you for students who are actually in courses. If you have a student taking a leave of absence, or they haven't finished their application process, so they're not even in a course yet, we don't count them. We're only taking the ones that were actually in courses during this invoices billing period. This invoices billing period is a long time ago, September of 2010. And these were all my students who were in courses in September 2010. You have 30 days to contest your invoice, so it's easy to look over and see whether or not those students should have been there or not. And then we have some payment settings. We show you our price. You can go to our website to look at that too. You can choose a certain payment type, whether it's a manual payment type, or you can have it automatically come out on a certain day of the month. Bank information, billing contact, purchase order number. I think only a couple schools use this. So if you need a purchase order number to show up on your invoices, you can put those in here. And then finally, remember the billing contact gets all billing related notifications, and then account administrators get notifications if something goes overdue or something's looking wrong. But if you want to include other people in there, you can put email addresses in here and hit save settings for those. That is an overview for the Populi Account Administrator, the setup process, the data import, and just all the settings that people have. Remember, it's great to have at least 2 of these. So if you're the only one at your school right now, it would be really good to find someone else at your school and add them in also. And if you've got questions, I haven't seen any pop up. If you've got questions and you want to type them in now, now is the time. All right, it looks like we don't have any questions today unless you're scrambling to get yours typed in before I finish this up. But I hope that was helpful. If you do have questions, reach out to our support team. They'll love to help you. If you want to do more of a training webinar thing like this, then you can reach out to your account manager and set something up with them. And of course, if you like to just research things on your own, you can do it either by going to our knowledge base or by going to our YouTube channel and watching videos there. It was good being with you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.